All right, I think we should be good to go, Brian.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm stepping in for Brandy Ryder today. So these are our stakeholders roundtable discussions we host quarterly. I think the last one was in May, so I'm sure everyone is very interested to see how CBO is going. Just a few housekeeping things. So we are recording this. If you want a copy, I think either it gets posted to our website or we share it. I'm not sure which one that is, but there will be copies available. This is a time for us to give you an update on how CBO has been operating over the last quarter and to provide you with some updates on where some of the major topics are. We'll open this up to questions through the chat or through voice if you'd like to. We'll definitely take a stop throughout some of this meeting and give you an opportunity to voice your questions. I think the overall focus of these, as you are aware, is to gain insight from you all as to how we're going and what we're doing. And if you have suggestions, we absolutely appreciate that. I think as mentioned here, we can't discuss specific applications if you have questions on those or provide guidance. So I think your best option there is to follow up with us after. Someone from CBO will be in touch with you after that. So that being said, shall we get started? So I want to introduce Paige Asman, our Senior Policy Advisor, to give you a legislative update.
All right, thank you, Brian. So for legislative updates, we did have a JTC hearing on Monday. There were several presentations from OIT, including a broadband update from Brian Martin and Randy Ryder. This included updates from BEAD, CPF, and Advanced State and Local Dollars Grant Program. There's an audio recording if you want to listen to that. And then we have the 75th General Assembly scheduled to convene on January 14th. They will adjourn on May 13th. So we will just continue to prep for that and begin our weekly broadband legislative stakeholder calls towards the later part of this year. So please keep an eye out for more information to come on that, and encourage you to sign up for those if you want to get weekly updates from us. And that's all I have. So passing it back over to you, Brian.
Thank you, Paige. So if you're not familiar with me, I know you all know who Brandy is, but I'm Brian Martin. I'm the Senior Manager here at CBO, looking over all of the federal and state programs that we have. So initially, I was the director for the Broadband Deployment Board and the Broadband Fund, but moved in this position earlier this year. So I'm here to give you updates on how things are going, what we've been working on, and then give you an opportunity to share your thoughts. So where are we now? So broadband coverage as of September 2025. Our current status at 95.8 for households connected. The goal is 96.8, so I think we're well on our way. So the goal of rural households being connected at 77.7%. Our current status is 78.5. Currently, 121,345 households still lack access to high quality internet. So as you can see, we're making good progress and working towards our goals. So I'd like to take this time to give you a little bit of an update on what's happening with BEAD. As a quick background, so the NTIA awarded $826.5 million to Colorado to expand internet access. That will get deployed through the Advanced Colorado Broadband Grant Program. There's a portal and a whole process that we have to go through that. We've been working on this since 2022 to implement our 5-year action plan and review proposals through volumes 1 and 2. And we held about 400 stakeholder meetings and met with over 5,000 people. So it's been pretty busy. So if you're not familiar with this, on June 6th of this year, the NTIA published a BEAD restructuring notice, benefit of the bargain, which as we lovingly refer to as BOB. There were a few changes in the way the program was structured, so we had to essentially revise our application process. Priorities, excuse me, were focused on lower cost, tech neutrality, and the ability to scale up. They would set up a 90-day process to review and determine the selection process for all of our subrecipients. So that being said, we were able to pivot successfully and launch the Bob Round on July 7th. We concluded that on the 21st. And then we opened up the public comment periods from between the 22nd of August and the 29th of August. And then finally on September 4th, we were able to submit our provisional final proposal to the NTIA. NTIA has currently 90 days to review that. And right now we're eagerly anticipating responses and thoughts on what that looks like now. So, as if you're not familiar or haven't seen that final proposal, you can go look on our website. That does provide a list of all the provisionally awarded applicants that we submitted to the NTIA. So, to give you just a quick understanding of what happened. So the intake, we requested $743 million were requested, which includes $370 million in matching funds. So that's a total investment of $1.1 billion. Broken down by technology type, we have $403 million in fiber requests, plus a $65.5 million fiber combo request. Satellite applications were submitted at $202 million, while wireless, we had about $70 million requested. There we go. Just to continue on from that intake, so 107 applicants were previously submitted. We did receive 29 new applications, but overall saw a drop in the number of applications from our prior BEAD rounds. But do consider with this provisional final proposal that all locations will be considered served. Previous BEAD rounds did include more fiber applications, however, and the results ended up to be about 60% fiber and then 40% fixed wireless. Some of the program costs and the locations by type. So overall deployment cost about $637 million. We had a subsidy of $420 million, so that's about 66%. And the total match submitted was $217 million, so about 34% of that. The lowest cost per broadband service location, or BSL for short, was $561, while our highest BSL submission was $15,157. So to break it down by tech type, the overall final proposal has 47,652 under LEO, 45,723 under fiber, and 2,690 under fixed wireless. So we ended up with a final amount of 92 applications from 25 unique internet service providers. So again, the overall investment in our tech types, fiber is about 90%, LEO is about 8%, and then unlicensed fixed wireless, terrestrial fixed wireless, 0.8 and 0.4, and our licensed by rule terrestrial fixed wireless about 0.88%. So we're trying to cover all the percentages for you to see that. Some folks may be curious, from the start, we did get some comments, I think, on why LEOs were submitted in the final proposal. More than half the locations just did not receive a fiber application that's due to prioritizing the low-cost technology that was built into the June 6 restructuring. So we did break up applications by priority and non-priority. And remove certain locations for eligibility. As we mentioned, the June 6 notice does reclassify unlicensed fixed wireless as a reliable broadband technology, which forced us to remove about 18,000 or 26% of the total fiber locations from the list of eligible locations. Map updates made after round 2 removed another 10,000 locations from that list. And unfortunately, under the original BEAD program, we awarded more fiber around 71,000 locations, and approximately 43,000 of those previously awarded fiber locations remain awarded in our BOB round, Bob rounds. I can open it up to questions if anyone has any thoughts right now. we'll just move into, and if there's anything in the chat, just let me know and we can stop to address those. So while this is something we did actually remove from our final award, if there is an opportunity for CBO to utilize these funds, we'd like to do that, because if you haven't seen the final proposal, I think that's about 400 million with 300 or so left over. Here are some thoughts that we have in terms of how we can utilize the rest of those funds if that's allowable under this program. There's a middle mile infrastructure deployment program, an infrastructure redundancy and hardening program, public safety facilities connectivity, neutral internet exchange points, last mile infrastructure hardening, advanced manufacturing upskilling, multi-dwelling unit retrofitting and rewiring, and broadband mapping initiatives. So these are just some of the ways that we'd like to utilize these funds if we are able to do so. So that's kind of it for BEAD right now. That's where we are. We appreciate, everyone's opportunity to submit public comments and share with us how things are going. So we'd like to kind of dive into the mini CPF SLFRF competitive grant program now. That is essentially, there's unobligated funds from other federal programs that we'd like to ensure we're getting the most impact out of. So in the next week or so, I know this has been pushed out a couple times, but our focus is to get this out the door in the next week. It is a mini grant program. We have about $899,000 in unobligated funds. So we'll publish a application process and guidelines for this in the next week. We're certainly trying to do an announcement this week to give folks a little bit of warning. Slated to open early October 2025. That'll close in early November. It will prioritize wireline broadband projects. If you're not familiar with the term of expiration, that will be December 2026. So whoever applies to these, we really want to make sure they're ready to go. This will be a very tight timeline to get this projects completed. So. And to give you a quick update on our advanced state and local dollars. So again, still funded at around 14 million annually. CBO did publish the guidelines and policies for related to appeals. That was in late 2024 when we published those. So next steps are in the next couple of months, we'll start soliciting for advanced local consult group applications. So that is a working group that will be part of this program, which will do their best to support us in the review and determination of funds for that additional state program. So still slated to open in spring of 2026. Lots of work going on behind the scenes to get that up and running. And then we'll aim to award funds in the early summer 2026 to take advantage of the build season. Okay, I want to take this time to open it up to questions from anyone. Does anyone have any thoughts, questions, comments?
Hi, Brian. This is Gladys with the Colorado PUC.
Hi.
Would you share the slide deck with us?
Yes, absolutely. I can do that. Again, Megan or Kristen, do we post this on the website, or do we just send it out to anyone attendees?
Yeah, we'll post it on the website along with the recording and send a follow-up email to attendees.
Thank you.
And then Brian, there's one question in the chat. How and when will the CBO know if excess BEAD funds will be available for other uses?
That is a great question. I think unfortunately it's a bit of a waiting game there. We're hoping as soon as possible. I think there was some mention of some sort of policy on that coming out in the fall/early winter, but to be determined at this stage, unfortunately. So as soon as we know, we'll let everyone know.
Hey, Brian, this is Brian Shepard, Visionary.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Can you, I tried to ask this during your BEAD presentation, but my microphone
sorry.
wasn't working. No, it was my fault. Can you guys explain kind of the decision to not classify fixed wireless as priority, even though other states did classify fixed wireless as priority projects?
I have to go back and look into that. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I don't want to give you an answer that's incorrect. Can we follow up on that? If you want to send an email to me, I can look
Okay.
into that and give you a good answer. So
Great. Thank you.
if folks are interested, you can certainly ask that as well, and we'll get something out to explain our process. So
And then Kevin Sievert, your hand is raised.
Thanks. Hi, Brian. Quick question. So I understand that the Leo awards were, applied to a lot of locations that didn't get a bid. One clarification, those awards aren't necessarily guaranteed. That's only, the Leo provider will only be paid if that location signs up for service through them, correct?
could you say that again? I'm sorry, I misunderstood part of the question.
Yeah,
So you're asking about LEOs. Go ahead.
right. So basically, since the satellite companies really aren't building an infrastructure, they're not automatically going to get all of the funds that might have been allocated with the BEAD funding. It's based on when a subscriber signs up that is BEAD eligible, that is when they get the reimbursement. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that applies to all of the provisionally awarded applicants. We're not aiming to just give out lump sums of funds to any project. It is very much on a reimbursement per progress and location built out model. So yeah, I don't have the full details on that now, but I can assure you we want to make sure that progress is being made in a manner in which the agreement is signed. So yes.
Okay, because I guess I'm just trying to understand, a Leo provider could come in and say, we cover the state now, give us all our money, right? I thought it was, especially for the Leo, that's a little bit more difficult because, their infrastructure is not, is up in space and it's hard to assess what kind of capacity they have. So I was just wondering how that reimbursement was. So I guess we'll just have to kind of figure out how that plays out. But then tied with that, you had mentioned that there was going to be, some other excess funds that you're looking at using, and then potentially some other state funded programs. So assuming that Colorado covered 100% of its unserved and underserved locations with the BEAD funding, is it safe to say that some of these other excess funds or state funds could be used to overbuild federal BEAD fund awards with different technologies?
No, I think we want to be very careful in terms of if there is that. I don't think the state has any interest in overbuilding what has been provisionally awarded. I think we'll have to look at, the focus of these state programs is to kind of fill the gaps where we can. And there's a good possibility, some of these projects in the long run may not get completed for a number of factors. So we have these state programs in place to help fill space where it opens up. So I do want to make sure we're stressing that we don't want to overbuild anything. I think that would be a conflict of interest, but we do want to make sure if there are opportunities to provide coverage where it's needed, then we'll do that. So.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome. Nate, do you have a question?
Yeah, hi. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning.
Thanks for doing this roundtable. This is awesome. Based on the fact that public safety, interconnection, and infrastructure is one of the areas that you'd like to award funds to, if they're available as optional uses to BEAD. In the short term, are there any programs, or what would you suggest local municipalities use in the grant program that are upcoming to apply for connecting new public safety facilities?
Yeah. So I think, I mean, there's a possibility, and we'll release the guidelines on it, that the mini competitive grant program that's going to be coming out, that's one. And then the advanced local state and dollars program, I think that's a really good opportunity for municipalities to get involved. As you know, folks are aware of so this is Broadband Deployment Board 2.0, and it changes a little bit the eligibility and is able to kind of accept and review municipal partnership applications. So I think advanced local and state dollars is probably the best bet for municipalities to apply for funds to create connectivity across the state, specifically in their local regions. So yeah, I think advanced local is probably the way to go. So.
Okay, thanks.
There's a question in the chat from Steve saying, any indications how or if a potential federal shutdown could affect NTIA's 90-day deadline?
That's a great question. Yeah. I don't think we know too much at this point what would happen if that does, but our focus has always been on ensuring that the NTI has all the information they need from us to make an informed decision as quickly as possible. You know, if that shutdown does happen, I can't. I saw this in the headlines the other day, and I can't remember the proposed dates for that, but we'll do our best to ensure they have everything they need to give us approval. So I think whenever that does get closer to the date, then we'll have to do an announcement on that. So, but at this point, I don't think we know. So. Are there any other questions? Everyone have any thoughts? Craig?
Craig?
Hey, Brian. Hey, Megan. Given Bob Brown's changing of priority broadband definition, you know, how do you see CBO's definition for priority broadband changing going forward in either advanced local or that 900K CPF extension or other funds going forward?
I think yeah, I mean, that seems like a policy question we need to kind of revisit and see where that stands. I don't know the implications for the other programs at this point because it was very much a BEAD thing, but I think we can certainly revisit that and see, you know, how that gets incorporated into the guidelines. I think there's a possibility for us to reopen advanced local for public comment and see if the process is right and if it's meeting the requirements for the state. So at this point, I don't think we have a full detail on what that's going to look like for other programs, but something to consider. So thank you.
You're welcome. And also, do you have any comments around permitting reforms or progress for the state?
Understanding that it's quite an arduous process for a lot of folks. I think CBO is working on understanding what the current policy is and how we can help facilitate that process so that it's easier. We don't have anything concrete right now, but I mean, I can certainly bring this up right now. It's in the planning stages of creating some sort of meeting between folks who are involved in this part of the industry and then with the municipal folks on to determine what that process for permitting looks like and how can we, you know, assist in that process, especially with, you know, BEAD coming up and a lot of agreements to be signed. So there is work being done behind the scenes to understand how CBO can help facilitate those, but other than that, nothing at this time. So.
Got it. Thank you. And lastly,
yeah,
I don't recall seeing the AI buzzword sprinkled into your wish list slide. Maybe it was in there, but do you have any comments on how the fast-moving AI ecosystem is being incorporated into state plans, whether it's additional data centers, power generation, transmission for both power and data for inference.
Not at this time. I think it's a really valid point, and there's some discussion. I think the legislative side of things of what AI is going to look like in Colorado, but at this point, I don't think we've touched seriously on that topic when it comes to BEAD and other federal programs. So I'm not sure at this point, but keep an eye out.
Okay, and then one last one. Promise.
Of course.
That's all good. When you look at the 5G fund for rural America, it's kind of been in back burner for FCC for a while now. But when you look at mobility, speed mapping for the state, do you think we have our hands around that pretty good? When you look at the app-based economy, and then going forward into the AI-based economy, I mean, I think there's a lot of there's a lot of data packet drops around the tunnel when you're stuck in ski traffic. And there's a lot of pockets in South Park, where you can't get coverage. And so when you look at that next level of connectivity beyond fixed, you get into mobile mobility and mobile broadband, where do you think we are with our hands around that? And is that something for the wish list?
I mean, I think it's something we should definitely visit. I just don't know enough about it right now to give you anything concrete. I think I'd love if you could follow up with an email with these topics, and then we can make sure we're visiting all of these things to ensure that there's full coverage of all the issues that apply in Colorado. That would be really helpful. So I'm sorry I can't give you a better answer than that, but I don't know enough about it, but I'd love to dive into it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone have any thoughts? Again, we'll get a recording of this up. We'll get the slides up for you. And then, if you don't want to talk about things at this time, or if you want to do follow up, please do. We'll get back to you as soon as we can with our responses. So. All right. Well, if we don't have anything, then I'll end this call and give you back some time in your day. But again, as I said, feel free to follow up, and we'll get these posted to the website as soon as we can. So.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, thank you, everyone.